Welcome to Which Side Do You Want, where we talk all things tennis. I'm your co-host, Ruffin Thornton, and I'll be joined by my good friend, James Skinner.
Unlike most tennis podcasts, we cover hot topics, from the lawns to the concrete, from the pros to the park, and all things in between. Welcome to Which Side Do You Want?
All right, welcome back, tennis and racket sport fans, to our podcast. James and I are back in front of you here to talk to you about our favorite subject, tennis. What's going on, my brother? How you doing?
I'm doing all right, Ruffin. What about yourself, bro?
I'm doing well.
Good.
You know, excited about the new season since football just started this past weekend.
Congratulations to you, Cowboys.
Oh, well, yeah.
Dak Prescott got his money.
Got it. He got paid. Yeah. That's great for him.
Great, man.
But
Jerry's usually hard to come up off $1, man.
Yeah. Well, he pays the stars, which is good. But I'm not. The first game of the season, that's one thing. But we got a long season. You got 17 games to go, so we'll see how we are doing later on in the season.
Yeah.
But so we football starts. Of course, the U.S. Open just wrapped up. So what's going on with you?
Nothing, man. It's just another year. It's that, it seemed like yesterday that we were just talking about, we were excited about the Australian Open coming up,
right,
and the beginning of the Grand Slam year.
I know.
Now here we are, the Grand Slam year is over.
Already at the end.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, so, tennis was, I think we're in that, we'll talk about this later, but we're in that transition period now with the game. And and that's a bad thing because we missed our favorite players from back in the day, but now we get to see emerging new players, new crop of young talent that are going to make their mark.
That's right.
They're hungry.
And we're going to be followers of them as well.
Exactly. So, no doubt.
But cool. Well, let's jump right into it.
Right.
Nothing really scripted this time. So let's talk about the U.S. Open.
Right.
So which side do you want? You want to talk about the men's finalists or the women's finalists?
Well, I tell you what, we can go with the men this time, and of course we want to take our tennis hats off to the 2024 men's champion, Mr. Yannick Sinner of Italy. And of course, he's we talked about him, so the things he went through this year, but he played extremely well in this tournament. And unfortunately, he took out not one, but a couple of Americans on his way to the, but he played well, and he deserved to hold that trophy up as far as on the court.
Right.
Taylor put up a fight, but Sinner just has too many weapons, and he's played extremely well this year, and on the hard court, and consistent. He's got he got that Australian Open championship, and he followed it up with the U.S. Open championship, and he looks really good on hard court. His game has improved. If he can improve even more. He's an all-court player now. He's amazing. Yeah, amazing young talent.
And he also added a couple of wrinkles thanks to his favorite nemesis, Alcaraz.
That's right.
Hit a couple of drop shots, especially showed its ugly head, if you want to say that, from Fritz's camp.
Yeah.
With a couple of drop shots, and he pulled out the full arsenal. So
and I'm gonna tell you, I'm just on a little side note,
right?
Because who was in his box, who new to the box,
right?
Darren Cahill, Killer Cahill. And, and I'm going to give this guy his props. I'm just going to have to, because Cahill has he has helped more top players become even stronger.
Right.
And he has the ability to get these players. And even though he's not their full coach,
right,
he's a side coach. He comes in, but he knows what it takes to win those titles.
Yeah.
And
surprisingly, since he was only a doubles expert,
right? Exactly. He never won a singles title himself, but he understands the game, and I think he understands great talent, and he has the ability to mold good talent and make them even greater. And that's what he's done. And that's just I see him in the box hugging, and I said, "Wow, there he is." Killer Cahill got another one. He's helped up, now, not to take anything away from the coaches he's had.
Right.
He is just sort of like he just adds a little extra, but he always, if you have a player who's right on the verge of he's the person you want to call, he'll come on, and He's done enough. He got another one.
And like you said, he's an excellent coach. He brings that little bit of flavor, that little bit of tweaking that needs to be done to a player's game, situation awareness,
Sure.
strikes during, ball strikes during certain scenarios, and he gives that player that edge, whoever he's been with,
Yeah.
And you're right, he's an excellent coach. So I'm sure he got paid as well.
Oh, you know that.
Of course.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. Do you have any more you want to add? Or?
Oh, well, just like I said, it was tough seeing. First of all, Taylor Fritz, I'm going to give my hats off to him. First American to make a finals, a U.S. Open finals since Andy Roddick. Yeah. And, got first, and I remember last year, Ben Shelton got to the semifinals, which was the first since Andy Roddick, and so now to get to the finals, I hope he doesn't.
And don't forget, Francis.
Francis Tiafoe, and who also, just played an incredible semifinals.
Absolutely.
I thought he had it, against Fritz, but I think put everything into it, and I think he got that experience. We don't realize how much experience means to players at this level, and being in that realm for the first time, it's got to be overwhelming, and I think it overwhelmed him a little bit, and his game went down at a point he needed it to, to hold it to get him over the line, and he just fell a little bit. And against a player like Taylor Fritz, you can't give up a little bit because he's going to take that and run with it, which is what he did.
Yes, you're right. The margin, even though that's one of his best friends on the tour, the margins are so thin. And Francis seemed to tire just a little bit, not to take anything away from Taylor's game, because his level of intensity, his level of play and focus not only throughout that match and previous matches, but throughout the entire tournament, was the same throughout. And he also Taylor's riding on the confidence of winning a gold medal.
They won the doubles, right?
Double,
in the Olympics.
Tommy Paul. So that's got to be a confidence builder, and it also helps that the big three, to include Novak, are not there.
Are gone. They're out.
But now, instead of the big three, you got to worry about the big two.
Right. And I understand, and that's a good point you made. The draw did open up when Alcaraz lost early and Djokovic lost early. And that the draw did open up, but somebody has to step in there, and they still have to win this tournament.
Take it.
And Sinner was able to do that. But also, too, one other highlight, and I'm gonna end on that, is just I was excited about the American men for once, getting to the Tommy Paul, Taylor Fritz, Francis Tiafoe, even Brandon Nakashima. You had a lot of Americans who men who just made it, and so I'm hoping that this will energize them. We have a couple of young ones coming up too. Mickelson coming up. Hope we'll see how his game develops. But that was good also. Gave us, just getting American in that finals. And it's been a long time since.
What do they say in the nautical world? A rising tide.
That's right.
Lifts all boats. Hopefully this will rise all of those American players and get them up.
Yeah, they realize they can do it, And there were some big wins in there that they had.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. What was your biggest surprise in this year's on the men's side?
I think well, even that wasn't a big surprise to you. It was a surprise to me that he held on. That was Djokovic falling to the demon. To Popperin. And Popperin is a good player, don't get me wrong. I just felt like, Djokovic for the Grand Slams, if it was not a Grand Slam, I said, Joker's going to come back. The Joker's going to come back. So for him not to rise up and then just the kind of way he went down, it's almost like, he just realized it, I don't have it today. And and that's just not, it's very un-Novak Djokovic-like. And so that was a surprise to me. And like I said, it's not that he couldn't win. At this level, anybody can lose at any point. But certain scenarios or circumstances, you just don't. You're surprised. And for Novak in that realm, and he's always going to get Ash Stadium. He's always going to get the premier court. He's always going to get the premier time because he is the draw. And he knows that. But Pop came in there and just jumped on him.
Alexei definitely played at a level we hadn't seen him. We knew he could play that. He's got a clean game.
Yeah.
If you ever look at the technique that he has on his overheads, oh my God, that's practically textbook.
Yeah.
And he struck the ball well in that match against Novak. But you're right, Novak he said it in his press conference. These players are the best of the world, and you could kind of see that he's kind of was reserved in that match as he started to show the signs of, I've accomplished everything. We don't have to prove. Mentally, I'm not really there. It's been a tough road, with the Olympics throwing off
he's played
definitely
a lot of tennis.
the knee injury. This has been a hard year. And what do we always say? Father Time is undefeated. He ain't going nowhere.
That's right.
So at the end of the day, as much as Novak can play and play well, at some point in time, he's going to follow in the footsteps of his boy Roger and Rafael. Even though Rafael didn't decided I'm going to shut it down after the Olympics, he's doing the right thing. We may be seeing the last of Nadal, but we'll see. Hopefully, we get to some of those matches before he calls it a day.
So that was it. For me as far as the men, there are a couple other surprises in there, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw it back, put the ball back on your court, man.
Okay. Well, shoot. So if you're leaving me with the ladies, obviously we kind of said it at the beginning from the last podcast that there were really 3 players to watch. That was Iga.
Iga Swiatek.
That was Sabalenka, and that was potentially Coco.
Yeah.
But we kind of narrowed it down to Sabalenka. She was on fire throughout the whole hard court. She was one of those players that decided not to play the Olympics, and it paid off. She finally got over the hump after losing last year in a heartbreaker to Coco in the crowd. This year she just finally did it. But I'm going to say Jessica
Pegula.
That DNA is going to do nothing but get better until you say it's done. And Jessica played as well as we've ever seen her play. She was coming off a hot hardcore season. She won Toronto. She lost in Cincinnati in the finals. So she was on fire, and she was the kind of player that Sabalenka probably did not want to see, especially in that crunch time in the home slam of that players. So but Sabalenka was just she held her nerve. She hit the big strokes when she needed to. Serve didn't completely disappear. And that was the player that we knew was going to win. And she, against all odds, she came through.
She did. She played very well. And this is she was one of those. She came on the pro tour, and she paid her dues. Didn't jump right out on it. But now in the later years, she kind of understands the game, understands her game situation. She plays them better, much better. So it's just a little later in her career year, but she's done. I mean, this was a good year for her. She finished up strong, and boosted her numbers up. So she's high, the top American on in rankings consideration. She's top American and deservedly so. Yeah. Unfortunately,
at the expense of Coco. But so let's talk real briefly about them. We've always been dogging out the American men, and highlighting the American women. The American women now have, again, 3 players in the top 10. With Pegula, Coco's dropped down to number 6. Not too bad.
She's still in the top, but now.
And now we got Emma Navarro. And Navarro, speaking of surprises, she was my surprise. Emma had a surprisingly really good. She's had a pretty good season. She had good results at some lead-up tournaments before Wimbledon. Of course, she beat Coco in Wimbledon. She went on and played and lost to the eventual champion in the Olympics. She came back, had a decent run on the hard courts in America, where she lost in Toronto in the. I think she lost in the semis or in the finals. No, I think it was the semis. Because she lost to Anisimova. And it was Jessica who beat Anisimova. So, so Emma's had really good results. You know? And she's now got the formula, at least in the last 2 matches, on how to beat Coco.
Yeah.
And Coco's got to figure that out.
She's got to figure it out. And the thing is, the upside for Coco always is that she's so young. You know, she's 20. So she's actually still really in the beginning of her career. But the expectations, you know, once you get to this level, they get high. Yeah. And the expectations for her is that she can figure this out somehow. But Navarro just kind of had her number last couple of times. She just, you know, and they know each other and play against each other. Navarro came at a different path because she did the collegiate a couple years in college tennis before coming into onto the pro circuit. But man, she figured it out. Now, it seems like her strengths go to the weaknesses of golf, you know, and her ability to hit that, control the court with that forehand moving. She attacks Coco's forehand. She can move the ball around so well. Coco serve didn't affect her, and I think it forced Coco to try to pressure more to hit the serve even harder. And then she just started double faulting, and anybody who plays tennis knows you get in that double fault mode, and it just
it becomes a real big mental thing.
Yeah, it is. It becomes a mental, and that's all it was. There is no reason why golf can't play a higher level and defeat her, but just for some reason and you said this earlier, sometimes it's just a matchup. Yeah. And just some people just match up better against someone else. And at this moment, Navarro just matches up well against golf, and she plays with a confidence. I mean, she was, she got down at the set, and when she lost that second set, she shook that thing off
and came right on back.
Got the break again, and it was all, and it was just right. I'm back in control. I'm gonna win. And so, and golf was just, looking frustrated. And
people have been talking about her serve since you mentioned it. Brad, no offense, Brad's not the one to fix your serve. The new commentary of Nick Kyrgios, who did an awesome job at this year's US Open.
He did.
He gave the player insight that we don't necessarily have, especially from a player. Even though Chris Eubanks did a really good job as well.
Too. Yes.
But we'll talk about that.
Yes.
We could talk about that. Coco needs to find someone who has a good serve that can fix her serve. And the name of Roddick has been thrown out there to help her out, as well as Nick Kyrgios. Yep. So you think about it, Nick and Roddick could do wonders for her serve. So that's something that Coco should really look into. So Brad and Coco Golf
team.
Camp, think about it. Anyway, but again, the U.S. Open, we look forward to it. We always kind of can't wait for it but we also lament the fact that it's the end of the summer.
It's in the summer.
It's the last Grand Slam of the season, and we look for other things to do and bide our time, which kind of leads into our next topic, the growth of pickleball in the United States. What are your thoughts on that? We
funny you should ask that, Ruffin.
We both have some opinions about that, so let's talk about that.
Well, first of all, I'm not going to come out here and bash pickleball.
No, because we'd lose a lot of
we'd lose, man. There'd be people after me. But my thing on pickleball is I think it's growing, popular sport, and anything that gets people out doing physical activity that's good for your health. The social element of it is, I think, is the real big clincher. I don't think the athleticism of pickleball is not what but I think it's that social mechanism that brings a lot of people together. Apparently, you can learn it relatively quickly, and it's just grown. And I see it. You see a lot of seniors out there. You see a lot of older people, and I don't knock. I think that's a great thing. I think that's really good, and I like to see more people being active out there and participating in sports. And so, in that respect, I think that's great.
Yeah.
The only issue I had, my main issue is that it's, that they're taking courts. They're taking tennis courts to make these pickleball courts, and there seems to be, and I don't want this to sound bad. 'Cause all my friends out there that play pickleball, I'm not dogging you out.
We're not bashing pickleball.
No, I'm not bashing pickleball, but it's just that it seems like now there's several courts in the area that you go to now, and they're not. The tennis courts have been transformed into pickleball courts. The one that hurt me the most was in my home, Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Right.
And there was a tennis center there, Owls Creek Municipal
Oh,
Tennis Center.
don't tell me.
I grew up playing there. I mean, I played on, Dave Howe was the head pro. That was back in the day. That was back in the 70s. And I remember he had a little junior league team. We played, some good friends of mine. We used to go there and play tennis there. And it was, to me, I remember when they opened it up, it was just like a magical place. You go and play tennis. And it wasn't that far from my home. I could ride my bike there and play tennis.
Yeah.
And, well, it's gone now.
It's all gone.
All pickleball. It's like one of the largest pickleball facilities, I think, on the East Coast or something. Somebody told me that. Yeah, my sister, she calls me and said, Owls Creek is pickleball. I was like, so I'm thinking, well, they took a few courts and turned them into pickleball.
Right.
Nah.
No, they turned everything.
The whole center.
Oh, that's
all
just
pickleball.
That's not fair.
Yeah, well, it is. And I'm sure, I'm sure running Owls Creek, because Owls Creek for the longest time was, people who know the area, it was an incredible public facility that, had all kinds of tournaments and leagues and all kinds of things. And so, but that was a time gone in the past. Right. And so now, bills have to be paid. And the city, I guess they're saying, look, this pickleball groups come in and they help. They said, look, we'll, if you give us these courts, we'll convert them to pickleball and, we'll make people put people on them and, we'll do our thing and you'll still get your, you won't be losing money. So most municipalities, they're going to look into that. Yeah. So just like here out in the greater Richmond area, So that to me is the thing. I think, can they coexist? Yes, course, they can coexist and they should coexist. I think, and I'm not ready to play, but one day I might pick up a pickleball paddle and hit and try it out. It's still, it's still activity and people love it. So,
well, I mean,
I kind of went around the circle on that one, but I didn't I'm not going to condemn it.
No,
I'm just saying, okay.
Well, tennis and tennis players and pickleball players need to learn to coexist.
Yes, we do.
I mean, yes,
pickleball's not going anywhere.
A lot of tennis players have been up in arms about how the sport, not the growth of the sport itself, but at how they've kind of confiscated, if you want to call it, or taken resources away from tennis players. And that's what we're up in arms about.
Yeah.
You mentioned it's got the same aspects of tennis. It's got a big social mechanism. It is if anything else, it helps your brain think.
Yes.
Because it has the same hand-eye coordinational aspects that any racket sport has.
Yeah.
You watch a ball bounce. That helps your cerebral cortex in the back of your brain to help your brain stay young. You have to do calculations, just like you have to do in tennis. Now, of course, all of those are magnified or expounded on in tennis, since we're talking about a larger footprint. But you can do more on the same footprint with pickleball than you can on a tennis court.
Right.
So I got that. At the end of the day, we still have to learn how to coexist.
Exactly.
Early on, I know I was on a couple of panels within, for folks that are trying to watch, we're in Chesterfield County in the state of Virginia. And early on, when courts were being taken away from the tennis players and given to the pickleballers, there were big meetings and how we're going to do this, how we're going to do this transition from courts that weren't being used, because unfortunately, tennis players, we haven't had the draw that we'd like. We haven't had the numbers that we'd like over the last couple of years. It's been a dwindling sport. But at the end of the day, pickleball has picked that up and shown more light on the same footprint.
Sure.
And like you said, at the end of the day, if it's all about getting exercise, why not?
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing. If you look at the U.S. Open, since we just talked about it, on the main courts, especially on Arthur Ashe, on the side of the court, you saw the USTA healthily promoting that tennis was the world's healthiest sport.
Right.
And that is true. They've done studies to say that tennis will actually, and I'm not making this up, will actually increase your lifespan by 10 years. maybe not that much, but still,
Yeah.
it's going to increase your lifespan. So pickleball would probably have some of the same aspects on your life. Again, it's not as hard on your knees, or maybe it is because the ball doesn't bounce. Certainly movement, it becomes less of an issue since it's a smaller footprint. But at the end of the day, we still got to coexist.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
You were mentioning that pickleball is really big in the States, but outside of this country,
it's paddleball.
It's paddleball.
Paddle tennis.
Most Americans have never heard of paddleball. I know it,
yeah. If you haven't, you need to go and check this sport out. It's interesting.
Right.
It's really,
it really is.
It combines tennis and racquetball,
right.
and it's amazing. And also play a little platform tennis. It's
right.
all these things combined.
Yep.
And in Europe and I think in some other areas of the world, it is rapidly growing, especially in Spain. And a lot of people think that it's going to become the hot thing. So it hasn't come here. It's not hitting here as big as it is everywhere else, but it's coming. And to watch it, to see it played, it's amazing. And there's some amazing athletes. A lot of tennis players are going to, because it's a closer connection to tennis. It's more like tennis, but, and it's a smaller court, but still it's larger than a pickleball court. But I watched it being played. As a matter of fact, it was I think it was the Tennis Channel. Someone had showed it being played, and it was they set up a court, and it was just amazing to sit there and watch it. And they play it off the walls, and a lot of pros, are starting to look into it and play the game. And
that sounds more like racquetball, more so than anything. When you introduce the ball coming off the wall,
right? Yeah, you play it off the wall, but the rackets are not racquetball rackets are smaller. So these are a little larger, almost like like a smaller tennis racket, but has a larger head and everything. So it plays. Some of the elements are similar, but it's a fascinating game to watch. But just to piggyback on that real quick, I know the USTA now has an initiative with adult red dot tennis.
Right.
So, and if those of y'all know that, the Quick Start program, the USTA initiated several years ago to introduce tennis to kids, to get them playing.
10 and under.
10 and under, yes. And what it was is they shortened the court and they created a smaller racket and they
smaller
nets, and they had a ball that was quick, the cushion, it was less compressed, less air.
Can we talk about that for a lot of people? So if you're not familiar with that, the 10 and under Quick Start program with the USTA, it's got four size balls. You've got the red dot, the green dot. I'm sorry, not in order.
No, you got
red dot, green dot, orange dot,
and then
you've got a regular tennis ball.
And so graduate,
right? And the rackets are also graduated in length. And like you said, it's on a smaller court. So the 10 and under courts are the perfect size.
Yes.
They're about the same size and dimension as a pickleball. So that's why, that's another aspect that I wish pickleball would really jump on.
Right.
And, kind of marry the two sports to, between kids and adults going from this size court to a larger size court.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, go ahead.
You're right. You're exactly right. It's an easier transition.
Right.
And for adults playing, it's, you can play instantly. You'll be able, because you can keep control. Ball doesn't move that fast. It's colored, so you can see the spin. You can know how you're hitting, and that social element automatically comes into play because everybody, no matter what your level, your athletic background, you can come out and start playing really quickly. One lesson, and a couple lessons, you're in, you're playing. And so I think they're trying to tap into that. And I guess people from USTA said, we already have this, closer to tennis. And so we're seeing that that's taken off now, and they're trying to form to try to introduce it. And I think they brought it at some of the tournaments and stuff to have people, they have a little red ball court out there and have rackets and stuff for people to come out there and play. And so far, so good. Yeah. So, and this is to be something else that people can do.
Right.
This was a little closer aligned to tennis. It has a racket that's similar to a tennis racket because it has strings in it and everything. It's not a paddle, and the court, it's a mini tennis court.
Sure.
So there's some things that, also make it fun. But once again, this is not to denigrate or put down pickleball.
No.
I'll say that one more time. Not putting down pickleball. Pickleball is great. People who enjoy it and love it, and they have a passion for it, and this has a major following. They have professional ranks now, so this sport is growing.
Anytime you can get Tom Brady to buy a team, a professional team, you know it's got to be
Brady,
popular.
LeBron James, I think, has a team. A lot of people, it's an investment, and that lets you know the growth of the sport is there. So,
Yeah, even the Tennis Channel has got their own pickleball tournament.
They're going to have a pickleball channel coming up.
Right.
Yeah, so, PPL or something like that, PPL TV.
So something more to watch on TV.
Yeah.
So you can get greater exposure.
Yeah.
But we're, again, at the end of the day, both tennis and pickleball, they need to learn to coexist as the meteoric growth of this sport continues. And, eventually I'm hoping as a tennis player, as a tennis player,
new sport.
I'm hoping that eventually it brings those pickleball players to the tennis court.
Yeah,
Come on out. Find out what it's like to expand and play on a bigger court. If you're going to pay all that money to buy tennis shoes that are specifically designed for pickleball, but we know that they're tennis shoes, why don't you try it? Because you'll have fun.
Yeah,
it's a little bit more challenging, but you.
But then pickleball people tell you the same thing. They say, "Well, you should try pickleball."
Oh, sure, I don't have a problem with it.
I don't either. I'm going. Oh, you got a paddle already? Go ahead.
Got a paddle.
All right, Ruffin.
I'm not bringing it out. But, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. Eventually, I will walk on the pickleball court. I know it. It's just because you see it and you just want to see what the hype is all about. And I think, like I said, I think anything that gets people out. Yeah. Having an active lifestyle, enjoying the outdoors. But now they got indoor pickleball courts too. The dinks and something, that you can play. Something I think it's called dinks, something dink.
Now that I haven't heard of. Yeah, it's that specific name.
It's right. In the Greater Richmond area, they have this place, and it's right beside. It used to be a furniture store besides the Dick's off of. Now they turned it into an indoor pickleball facility.
Really?
It's called Dinks and Dunks or something like that. I can't remember.
Okay.
Anybody who plays pickleball that plays
know what
there,
that means.
Remind us what the name of that thing is. And so it's growing. So we shall see.
Yeah,
we shall see.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't have anything else going on. You got anything for any parting things for our audience?
I just want to say that this was a good tennis year. We've seen the emergence of a lot of new faces, some people we're going to have to watch for in the future. We'll see the emergence of the American men finally getting into a Grand Slam final. Was great. Let's hope that Australia, we're going to get somebody's going to, out there, we got a lot of players that have their potential. I hope Ben Shelton takes this time off to work on his game, get him ready. I think on a hard surface, he could do some damage next year. He could. I'd love to see how he emerges. And Francis, folks, I wanted to see him in that U.S. Open final so bad. And I like Fritz. Of an advantage. Oh my gosh, I think and he's Showtime.
Right.
He really is our Showtime, and he brings that. He has that swagger that tennis just desperately needs, and hats off to him, man. He played a wonderful U.S. Open tournament. I would like to see him in a Grand Slam final in his career.
We're rooting for you.
We're rooting for you, Francis. Big foe. We pulling for you.
Yeah.
And also, he's the supporting cast of Americans. I'm hoping maybe they can all come together and play that. Davis Cup is coming up.
Davis Cup, maybe that'll be the stepping stone they need for more success.
We got some players.
My player, Sebastian Korda, I think he's always done well at the Australian Open. So maybe he can get over some of his physical ailments and then come back and heal and do well.
Heal, Sebastian. Heal and come back because your talent is real.
Yep.
Yeah, and Brandon Nakashima.
Oh yeah, the reemergence of Brandon.
Yeah. I'm looking for him to have next year. I'm looking for him to, he's got every gift and skill. We've been talking about him for a while, but I'm just, waiting for him to just one day like boom, and everybody.
And they're gonna say all of a sudden.
Wasn't all of a sudden. He's had some health issues too. This hampered his career, but that kid, man, he's gonna be something.
Right.
And on the other side of the pond, Draper. I'm just telling you, a healthy Draper. Now that U.S. Open semifinals was interesting because he was throwing up all over the place. But I think but playing that long and that hard at that level, his body hadn't acclimated to it yet.
Yeah.
But when it does,
he's gonna be a handful. You're right.
Yeah.
He really is.
Yeah.
Got a big serve, big game.
Ooh, yeah, big game.
And moves better than we anticipated.
Yeah, so. Yeah. But he came in that, like I said, we talked about those 2000 babies, Yeah. He was in that crew with he and Holger Rune and Carlito and, we, looking for them to make those inroads, a few others up in there too. But maybe this time, this next year, they'll start to emerge,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if those are your parting words, I only have one thing to say. So, since we started off talking about the season and we're going to football, I gotta give a shout out to my boys who do fantasy football with me at Fantasy Manners. Fantasy Matters, Anthony Nicholson and Brendan Nicholson, my boys. We had a great time out in Las Vegas for our draft. I want to see you guys do well, and I would just say, folks, if you're looking at our podcast, also look at Fantasy Matters.
Yeah,
so,
yes, it is a good podcast.
It is a good podcast.
And you got they have their camaraderie.
They are funny.
They're funny.
They are funny. So with nothing else to say, as we always say when we end up, go hit a tennis ball.
All right. Here's the 2025.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.